thank you again for giving us the opportunity to come together and hear the message that Carlos has to give about you and your creation, God, and how we can bring it to our lives and to our families and create these epic uh, legacies for our families.
Yes.
Thank you for this conversation. Bless all those who are here and are not. And amen.
Amen. All right, back to day 5. We're going to do it again. I'm going to read it again, and then we'll get into our worksheet here and kind of process it. So, day 5, Genesis 1:20, and God said, "Let the waters bring forth abundantly the moving creature that hath life, and fowl that may fly above the earth, in the open firmament of heaven." And God created great whales and every living creature that moveth, which the waters brought forth abundantly after their kind, and every winged fowl after his kind. And God saw that it was good. And God blessed them, saying, "Be fruitful and multiply, and fill the waters in the seas, and let the fowl multiply in the earth." And, and there was an evening and a morning, or the 5th day. Swarm. Oh, swarm. All right. It's interesting when I think back to my childhood reading that. It's just a good story, or but one, and now that I've done so much deep dives and research on this, it's an example to us so much. And I always come full circle back to swarm, because I think it's been one of my places where I've had small swarms in my lifetime, but I've never had a full on movement swarm. I guess I would consider like a church, a congregation, more of a bigger swarm, and obviously a global movement, something like Google or Amazon or Tesla. Those are like global swarms. But I do believe that legacy can be like that and affect the world, our legacy. But it starts in our home. And I think that's one of the things that really, really, I can't say enough. And that's what we went through last week was, am I faithful at home first? Men have a really good challenge with, we find our identity in our work. I think that's true with most men. And women find their identity in the home for the most part. And so then it does tend to be a pulling of both worlds. However, it's a mixture, and it's a team. I've over the years, we have seen so much benefits to working as a team and recognizing, there's no like task that I cannot help with my wife at home, and there's no task at work too that she doesn't help with. She's our CEO. Um, However, our home is our first priority of making sure that it's filled with life, that we are experiencing connection, love, and affection. And I do believe that women naturally, I've been talking about lately a lot of about empathy and validation. Women are really good at validating each other, and it's a journey. Men don't naturally know how to validate. We tend to be like, when we're dealing with stuff in our own lives personally, we don't tend to talk about it too often. Oh, you got to be men. You just got to take it, be tough, and be a man, right? That's the whole saying. Be a man, and that automatically should tell you not to complain or not to have emotions, not to cry, right? So it's interesting because validation then doesn't come natural to us. And lately, I've been really, really, really hammering on validation when I work with the men, because I do believe it's a secret weapon, and I don't think it's talked about enough. How to validate is to acknowledge our emotions in ourselves and others, and to acknowledge something is not to agree with it. And I bring this up because I think that if our home is our first priority and love is the key, I believe that validation is a key component to loving well. And again, one of the things I've really had to learn is that validation does not mean I agree with it. Because I don't want to see people stay stuck in a toxic mindset or a negative mindset. You know, my wife or my daughter or my son or somebody's in our home, and maybe just my wife as an example, she's had a hard day and she's telling me all about it. And I'm like, oh, come on, it's going to be a great day. And she's like, you're not hearing me. It's like, well, yeah, let me repeat it back to you. And you just said this. And she's like, no, you're not hearing me. I'm like, well, come on, it's gonna be okay. You got this.
Yeah.
And trying to inspire her and encourage her, right? Get her. Well, that's what I need to do. I need to fix her because she's negative and toxic, supposedly, right? That's the way I would view it, as though I just got to help them get out of this mindset. They're stuck in a negative mindset. And in all reality, and if I look at myself, even when I'm stuck in a loop of negativity, something where I failed at, and all of a sudden I feel like a failure, and I just go like I'm looping about how I failed. What a loser! What a loser! And I need to be able to release that. But if I don't, and the talking about it is releasing, and that's where validation comes in, to acknowledge the emotion or knowledge what I'm going through and feeling and be able to talk about it is to release it. And for someone to go like, wow, I can see how that must have really sucked to go through that. Or man, that must have hurt. That must have been hard for you today. It doesn't mean you agree with it. It just means that you understand where their emotions or their feelings are coming from. You understand that they did have a hard day and that was rough. You make them feel like they're not crazy. To validate is to, you got a valid point there. You have a valid emotion there versus you're just crazy. Let's go ahead and acknowledge how I already feel, or how they already feel, that you're just crazy. And they are in that moment, because, and I felt crazy before when I'm looping and I have this negative thought in my head and I can't get rid of it. And so we call those triggers, and they're usually associated and connected to trauma or some sort of thing we went through. And it's so interesting too. Again, going back to this, I talk about it so much because it's so important. If we just help them release that emotion, release that thought, and validate them, they can release it and have a new thought. They don't feel crazy anymore, and they go, "Oh, thanks! Someone finally hears me.
Yeah.
Someone finally understands what I'm going through." And all you did was just acknowledge their emotion.
Yeah.
Have some understanding.
You said it as well, at least with me, and I know some other folks I've talked to about this is trying to fix or trying to provide a solution to
Yeah,
what they're, it could be, I mean, yeah, mostly of the time it's wives, but it could be anybody, right?
it
Like
can
they
be.
just want you to listen. And but like naturally, like you want to help problem solve. Like here, like, well, this and this. And it's like, no, that's not what they wanted to
That's
do.
right. I didn't ask.
Yeah,
for
they
an
didn't want
answer.
the problem to be solved. They just wanted somebody to listen. And
Yeah.
that's tricky because
Yes.
naturally wanting to, you don't, like you said, you don't want to see somebody in that state. And
Right.
but problem solving isn't right.
Yeah.
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 And there's a fine line of sounding patronizing when you
Right.
when you start
Morning.
giving an answer, and even if that, if you want an answer, you want me to listen.
Yeah.
It comes across as a jerk when even if
Right.
you're doing that, and you're trying to be nice,
Yeah.
because otherwise you're going to do exactly what you said. Well, hey, how about try this? What, you thought I didn't try that?
Yep. Exactly.
I took a class a long time ago when I was working. It's about listening, and when somebody's telling you something, are you really listening, or are you trying to solve their problem and not really?
Calculating.
And you're already figuring out, all right, this is what they need to do,
That's right.
and so you need to shut that down and actually listen.
Yeah. Well, and I just love observing women. If you ever can sit and watch, especially mothers and daughters and sisters, it is fascinating. It's truly fascinating. I mean, I just observe and learn. I'm like, They go back and forth. It's like, oh my goodness, I can't believe you went through that. Oh wow, that's amazing. I can understand why you feel that way. And it sounds so emotional, but they're just validating. And they feel so much better. That was so good. And I look at them like, they didn't solve any problems. Guys are like, well, how can we fix this? Wait, you didn't fix anything. All you did was blah, 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 and all these emotions. And it is amazing.
They regurgitated.
Yeah. And you're like, well, you feel like what's interesting is as men, we think that, well, didn't you just make it worse? Y'all just kind of just compounded it, right? No, they were releasing it.
Yeah.
And they were letting it go. Now, there's a difference between like gossip and misery loves good company, and they just keep compounding. Oh, that ain't nothing. Let me tell you about my misery. Now, that's totally different. Validation is to truly acknowledge the emotions and understand it and say, wow, I can understand how you'd feel that way. Like that is one of my favorite ones. It covers so much. Wow, I can truly understand how you'd feel that way. I can see that would be really challenging. That'd be really hard. It doesn't mean that I agree that they should stay stuck in that negativity. And that's what I went through a whole season where I refused to acknowledge somebody's negativity. I'd be like, oh, come on, let's get a positive mindset. And Chantel just kept saying, you're not hearing me. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. And so it's really interesting because I recognized in that time, in that process of learning, it was like I didn't want to be toxic because I was super toxic. I used to be very, very toxic. Everything was half empty. Everything was wrong. What's wrong? What's wrong? If that's in your vocabulary, I'd take it out of your vocabulary. Seriously. Because as soon as you ask somebody what's wrong, then they go like, well, I don't know. And they start trying to think of things that are wrong. What you acknowledge, you attract. So you don't want to attract that. You could say, what are you thinking about right now? Even if they look like they got a lot on their mind and something's wrong, or they're like really frustrated, you don't want to bring wrong to the surface. Words are seed. So it's like, what do you think about right now? What's going through your mind? I can see you're really focused. I can see you're really thinking about a lot. And so I learned from Chantel, my wife. I said, I don't know how to validate. I don't. And I go, how do you? And it was interesting because at first she was kind of upset. Well, you should just know. And then we started processing, and she goes, this is so good. I realized that men don't know how to really validate. And I've been trying to figure this out, and I've connected it to childbirth. Because if you think about how loving and affectionate and connection, and it's been really through Hazel's pregnancy, watching her and recognizing this baby, you can't get any closer than that. When a little human's inside of you, and recognizing it growing inside of you, and that connection and that love and that affection, it just doesn't get any deeper than that. It really doesn't. And so they understand it through feeling it and through a physiology of physically going through it with a child and a little human. Where us guys, we get gas or indigestion or something, or a kidney stone for, God forbid, we have a little stone go through our urethra, right? And we're dying and we think we're giving birth to a child, but
Yeah.
right. And it's funny that that's the reality of what
Let
we
me
go through.
correct you on that. The urethra is not the problem. It's the urine. It's higher.
The higher.
Coming out your penis. That kidney to the bladder.
Yeah.
That's where it hurts.
That's right.
That's bad.
I don't wish it on anyone. Okay.
That's about as close as we get to child.
That's right. That's right. But there's no reward in that.
No, that's right.
But where with a woman, that's what they say, right? Okay, I'm not a woman, and I'm not an expert with women because I disclosure because it always comes up. Well, how would you know? No, I don't know. I just ask and learn. But the whole experience of they say they forget the pain because of the reward of the child, right? It quickly goes away.
Can I tell a crude joke about that?
Why not?
Sunday Scoop of Men's Bible. They proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that actually a kidney stone was worse than having childbirth. It's physically true. It's scientifically
I
true.
believe that.
It's
You're begging God for mercy, and the next thing minute you're like,
let me prove it. You take a guy and kick him in the groin.
Mhm.
A year from now, he's not gonna say, do that again.
Yes, that's
Whereas the woman said, hey, it's time to have another baby. The guy ain't gonna say it.
that's fair. I got it. That's good. That's a good one. I've heard that before. That's a real good one.
Good analogy.
So, full circle back to the home. What does this have to do with the home and swarm and movement? As men, we have to take responsibility for our home. We have to take responsibility for the connection to our wives, first and foremost, connection to our children. It's real. And oftentimes we can get triggered by that, by saying, oh, well, I really screwed up, right? And snowball. I can. I'll be about me. I'll talk about me. I know that happens for me. That's been like, I often say, it's my kryptonite. My goodness. And it's funny because my kids knew it for years and I had to get over it. Because all they had to do was like just be like, well, see, you're just that dad. Yeah. And then it would trigger me and I'd be like, I couldn't even think straight because I wanted so bad to be a good father because it was I felt like it was such a weakness. So they would know how to get me really well. It was just like, tell me I was a lousy father. And then it's like, oh, and I'd be stuck for days. And I realized, triggers, what happens, they just get shorter and shorter over the years. Now they could say it and I could laugh at them. And I know they're messing with me. Back in the day, I might be a week or 2 weeks, and then it would be 5 or 6 days, and then it would be 2 or 3 days. And I'm just all spun up for several days. And now it's no longer days, which I'm grateful for that. But it's still, I feel it at times, as a father. And a reminder of, oh, you never had any biological children. It's like, oh, okay. So it is a thing for me. However, it can be used for a blessing if we want it to be, right? For every curse that the enemy wants to put against us, Father can, because his word says that all things will be used for good. All things can be used for good to those who love him and trust him. And it is real, like it's all in the lens we look through. And I tend to utilize it for fuel now versus bondage. For years it was bondage, now it's fuel. It's like, okay, I'm going to do better. And I'm going to help more men to do better. I'm going to teach everyone I can, or at least share with everyone I can about what God showed me. And it does create a huge passion for me. Wakes me up in the morning. And I'm realizing how important validation is to create a warm, loving environment in the home. Your daughter comes home from school and she's crying. And we're like, let me go take care of this. Let me go to that school and take care of it. It's like, Daddy, I don't want you to do that. We're trying to fix it, right? Versus just hearing her and allowing her to feel those emotions and express those emotions and then validate. Man, I can see why you'd feel that way. That must have been really hard for you to go through that. And just leave it alone. That's it. It's that simple. Or tell me more about that. Let me hear how you dealt with her. What those emotions are pretty strong. Share more with me. Guys, all this languaging is foreign to us. I've had to train my brain and practice it and practice it. And then I've had to have the humility. It is truly humility to ask my wife for help. And like I said, at first she was upset. She's like, you should just know this. And then she had an epiphany. It's like, no, if men don't know how to do this, no, there's no better place to learn from their wives. Definitely don't want them learning this from another woman, which is where trouble comes, to be honest. So
It's like women get validated by another man.
that's right. That's how it all starts.
That's what a
It
woman
really is.
A woman
That's how it all
does.
starts with a woman. Yep. Women validate women. That's great. But as soon as a man starts validating a woman, all of a sudden, like, wait, what? Huh? And it's interesting because in affairs or in scenarios where there's situations at work where a wife is not being heard at home and then she goes to work and she's being heard, it's real. It just, they get emotionally satisfied and it starts to make them feel more comfortable with that person. But if you think about it in those situations or when you're dating, we're really good at validating when we're dating.
How does that work? Yeah.
Right? It's true because we are pursuing. That's why. So we're willing to
Brain. Yeah.
we're willing to listen. We're in a different state of mind because we're pursuing, and that's what it's all connected. So it's interesting the mind of a pursuer versus the mind of a comfortable, lethargic, lazy lion.
How about a tired, wore-out husband?
Exactly.
Need not being met.
Exactly. 100%. I mean, we got all the excuses in the world. We can make them up if we want.
Yeah.
We have all excuses what they are, or all the ways that it's justified. There we go, justifications. We do. We could justify it all day long. But then how's that working for us?
Yeah. It does.
We're going to stay stuck and we're not going to have epic. And I've realized for years, I'd be like, hey, Chantel, can you lead the, Epic 30? Can you lead our little GW? Is that what we do? That's in here, Epic 30. And she's like, yeah. And she would. And I'd be like, oh, thanks. Because but the reality was, I'm like, why do I keep wanting her to lead it? I'm supposed to lead it. I'm supposed to lead this. I'm supposed to help create the level of love in our home and affection, because women do it naturally. It's not a thing for them to have to do it, but men have to learn how to be loving, affectionate, validate, empathize, connection. Like it's really interesting. We control the level of love in our home. If love is gonna be prevalent in our home, it's because we create it through our actions, through our words, our declaration. I love you. I love you. I love you. I say I love you all the time to my family. When I make a conscious effort when I come home, I say I love you. I find my daughter, I find my wife, I love you. My son, I love you. When I'm leaving, I love you. I love you. I love you. I leave. When I'm on the phone, I end it. I love you. Click. I love you. Click. Like it's a thing that I've trained my brain to do it. And is it sincere anymore? Yes. God is love. So if I'm speaking love, I'm saying I love you. I'm speaking the Father over them. So I really hammer on this. I'm very passionate about it because it goes back to, it starts in the home. And the 3 core activities is where we got to last week, kind of talking about them. Where in my home am I already seeing life and movement? Moments where family is naturally drawn together. Nathan talked about in church, and I know you guys had that whole series on eating supper and dinner together. Is it supper or is it dinner? What do you guys call it? Dinner?
Yeah.
Is it dinner?
All the above.
We're in the South. I don't know what's what. I thought supper was lunch or something.
Supper is Monday afternoon.
Okay.
Dinner is. I
I
think.
call it lunch and supper.
I grew up in Arizona, so I don't know this talk.
That's what I understood it.
Is supper a Sunday dinner?
Like is supper-
Brunch?
Yeah, supper's like a
Yes, it was.
mid-afternoon.
Jessica was asking me the other day about how to set place settings. I said, put them on the table. I'll figure it out. I said, what if you're left-handed? Right. What's that come into play?
And that's it's actually another dynamic when you think, if you talk about how a guy talks to a woman, but a woman, do it wrong and watch, see what happens.
That's right.
That doesn't go there.
Okay. That's right.
You got it on the wrong side. Okay, I cut.
That's right. So where in my home, let's go to these questions a little bit. And I definitely want to get into Epic 30 today. So, but I want to review these questions and then kind of talk about it. Where in my home am I already seeing life and movement? Moments where my family is naturally drawn together. Do you guys have a moment of connection? Let's just go around the table. Do you have a moment of connection with your wife and kids, or
Dinner table.
okay,
for sure.
so dinner?
Yeah.
And how often do you say that you do that? Would you say?
Man, so outside of when there's like a sport or something
Yeah,
like that,
yeah. For sure.
I mean, ideally it'd be like 4 to 5 times a week.
Oh, that's cool. That's a lot. That's good.
Ideally.
It's really
And
good.
we started this thing, and I think it was from Nathan's
Yeah.
That series, and we say, what was something good that happened today?
Yes,
You know?
absolutely.
And we used to say what was something bad, and we switched it to what was something that was hard.
Okay.
Right? So
Yeah,
bad
so-
was like, what was something that was hard or something that was good. So we try to do that. And my oldest son actually is the one that'll start asking before anybody now. And that's pretty cool.
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, that's good. That's good.
That's a better way to put it, because something could be very difficult but not bad.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
We get stronger through it. Right?
I'd say sit down, have a family meal, or try to do that 2 to 3 times a week.
Yep.
And church, I think, is a big
Yep.
cover, and then just hangout time.
Mhm.
Just, getting together and playing a board game or puzzle or.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or.
Absolutely.
Just, go out and catch fireflies. Grandkids.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
So anytime I, think it's, try and shut TVs off, iPads off, and do
Mhm.
stuff without, any exterior, input.
Yeah. It's good.
It's quite different in my family. It's because I don't have family at home. It's just me and brother. So there's no kids there.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course.
And so the interesting thing, and if I had my way, we would eat in front of the TV every single night. I started out as a teenager.
Yep.
It didn't go away. And so
Right.
to eat at a table is almost like a chore.
Yep.
What we do, but per her, we do. We will sit together. But it's amazing, when there's only two of you, very little conversation. It's
Right.
difficult. And sometimes that gets cold, gets frustrating. 'Cause you
Mhm.
just, you're staring at your food, you eat, hey, that was great. And you move on. Interestingly enough for us, one of our connection times now that is just something brand new, but is listening to a book together when
Excellent.
we drive. And because it gives us something to talk about and discuss or laugh about that has nothing to do with the rest of the world at all.
Right.
And it
Absolutely.
makes it very enjoyable. May not talk a lot, but when something happens, oh, wow, that's funny, or wow, that's pretty crazy. It gives a
Mhm.
conversation spot.
Yes.
And for us, getting in the hot tub by the pool
Awesome. Yep.
creates conversation.
Yep.
And you just start talking about just crazy stuff.
Yep.
Leads another question, another discussion. So that's probably for us. is
That's
the right
good.
connection.
Awesome. Awesome.
I'm about the same as him.
Yeah.
There's just the two of us. at home.
Yep.
And my wife's always got the TV on. And so we sit in front of the TV and eat dinner, but we do communicate a
Yeah.
good bit to
Mhm.
just, and it's a lot of fun when the grandkids come over.
Yeah.
I ain't got much to say.
I found, I guess almost, it is different when you've been married for, almost 50 years.
Yeah.
It is different. The relationship is different. In your early years, you're still pursuing too, the validation, all the other stuff. But at these years, it's not the thing anymore. It's actually, finding compatible space that you actually enjoy.
Yeah.
Because now you know all the faults of each other. So you stay away from those times when you know that it's there. So you don't, there's really no communication at those stages because you're like, "God, if I say that, this is gonna happen." So it's different. It's a lot different than when you're young and got kids around.
Yeah.
Well, I can say, I grew up in front of, at the table. It was, that was our structure. We ate at the table every single night and 7 days a week. We didn't go out much. Maybe once a week. But, my wife and I eat at the table and, right now we're going through some things and, so, you have to be very intentional, when you're in a season of drought, if you call it that or whatever. And purposeful in what you're trying to accomplish and keep in connection. And I am
Mhm.
very, that's
Yeah.
working at that.
It's good. Have you seen habits or triggers that would tend to push you apart instead of pulling you together? That's the second question. Because sometimes we just talk about the good, but we need to acknowledge those things and understand, like you said, the challenges, right? That we face, because again, they're real.
in my house, it's space. And, it's not space, how much space you got, but she cooks. If I cook, we're in trouble. She cooks, but it's her kitchen.
Yeah.
It's not our kitchen, it's her
Right.
kitchen.
Right.
Yeah.
And so if, I'll come in and every single night when she's cooking, is there anything I can do to help? And it's usually not a pleasant answer.
Give me my space.
No, like I got this, I don't need you to help do this. And it doesn't come out all those words, but that's what I hear.
Yeah.
Again,
Yeah.
communication.
Yeah.
And she will say, give me about 10 minutes and you can make the salad. That's gonna be my job.
Hmm.
And there's directions of that. No, you can't do it over there. Do it over here. I'm over here. And that's to me, sometimes I'm like, screw it, then you fix the salad. I don't ever say it.
Right. But you feel that in the trigger. Yeah.
But that's a
Sure.
trigger for me.
Yeah.
Like, why is all of this such a big deal? But as you were saying a minute ago,
Yeah.
to her, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
So I just let it slide.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna argue about it. I may have a face that I can hide somewhere else. But that's a trigger.
Yes.
It makes helping not fun.
Right.
It
Right.
becomes direction.
Yep.
There's
There's no affection there.
it's a chore instead of how can I help?
Yeah.
And sometimes you can help by staying in the living room and not coming here.
Get the hell out.
So that's to me is a
Now, I gotta say that I have experienced similar with my wife in the kitchen. She likes the domain, she
Yeah.
wants to, yeah. So I try to relieve that tension by coming up and giving her a big hug on, from behind, and that was my habit, in times past, too. And sometimes it's good. It gets them to calm down a little bit and realize they're being an asshole. And and not that you want to invade their space, but it's like, hey, can I invade your space a little bit? Can we be together? Because we're not together very much, and this is a time of food and everything. And, just not, just wait for her to say, well, I'd like, can she may come up with something, instead of asking for something, you already know the answer. So just pry. I mean, in a nice way, that's what I've tried to do. And it seems to be good. That part anyway.
So unity is the key, and oftentimes we try to prevent division, and we actually create it by preventing it, by trying to prevent it. That's the what's wrong question, and I'm serious about that, man. Catch yourself. I want you to listen to yourself this week, today, with your wife, with your kids, with situations, and see how often you say what's wrong. Because it's interesting that we will absolutely bring focus to wrong by saying that. Versus, hey, what are you thinking about? What's on your mind? You look focused, or you look concerned. What are you thinking about? It's that easy. And again, Chantel taught me that because I realized I said it so much. And she's like, you say that a lot. You make me think something's wrong when nothing's wrong. I'm just thinking. And I'm like, oh, you're just thinking. Well, you have a scowl on your face. I thought something was wrong. I thought you were having a bad day or something.
Or is everything okay? Rather than what's wrong thing.
Oh, even that, you're just assuming something's wrong by saying, is everything okay? It's like, what are you thinking about? It's a simple thing. What are you thinking about? You shift it. And that's, she taught me that. And it's made a huge difference. And I say it because, again, going back to the connection and love and affection and what we create with our words. Our words are seed. And so going back to Epic 30 is very, very purposeful. And there's so many things you can do. And I will tell you that I've been challenged with this many, many times, and that's fine. I don't mind. It used to be 2 hours. It used to be hour, 90 minutes, and then an hour. And we've broken it down to Epic 30. And 30 minutes of connection, love, and affection is what we talk about, and release, receive, give. And I've talked about it a lot here, but it's very, very practical and real. And there are many different things you can do. And this isn't new. It's just put together in a very purposeful way, very efficient way of connection, love, and affection, and going deeper and having more meaningful relationships through a recipe, if you would. We can all make, right? You said that you're not very good at cooking. If you go try to cook bake a pie or something, or bake some kind of dessert, it matters what ingredients you put in there. If you choose not to put the sugar in a dessert, then you're not going to have a very sweet. You could probably substitute it, but the point is, if there's a recipe and you follow it, you're going to get the pie that you desire, or the cake, or the dessert that you desire when you follow the recipe. And that's the thing here, is that, believe me, there's many, many different ways you can do this, and you can change the version of it, but the purpose of it is the main thing. The purpose is for connection, and the purpose is for uniting in something together. Almost like when it's funny, I watch this. When we face a bigger battle, we tend to unite. Would you agree with that? Like, you see us, we're fighting against Iran, not to get political, but the reality is that there's actually Democrats that are complimenting some of the things for the battle. It's like, oh, we did well at this and this. It's like, oh, they actually can say good things about each other. And Republicans saying, this and this. And it's interesting how it's because we're facing a bigger battle, right? Than each other. All of a sudden we can unite because, oh, we're taking on some other thing in the world. And so it's interesting, same kind of thing here. It's like, as we face battles as a couple and we're united, we will become stronger. We will become closer. And God said, Papa said, all things work together for good, not some, all. So then we have to figure out how that works. And I've realized that because of our daily rhythm, and it's every weekday we do this. Is it perfect? Is it 5 days a week? We do our best. We have that opportunity to meet together in the morning, and we talk about doing this in the morning. We've tried it in the afternoons. We've tried it in the evenings. It does not go so well. And it's proven scientifically, by the end of the day, you've made so many decisions. You're done making decisions. That's really what it's all about. It's decisions. So if I'm working or if I'm doing things throughout the day and I'm making decisions, by the end of the day, you don't want to have to decide what to say over your wife or your kids. Like, I'm grateful for what? I can't even think of what I'm grateful for about you, because you're making another decision. So it's not that you're not grateful for your wife at the end of the day. It's just, you don't want to have to try to think about what to say. So I would highly, highly, highly recommend this in the morning. Again, thousands and thousands of people we've done this with, and helped lots of different lives and marriages and relationships through this process. So it has to do with, it's called Epic 30 because it's 30 minutes. And it's release, receive, give. So we journal for 3 to 4 minutes. We get a letter back from the Father through a random Bible verse, and then write what that verse means to me in a letter form back from the Father. Dear Carlos. And then we write out some GWs, gratitudes and worthies, over Father God, our Father, over ourselves, and over others, wife, children, guests. And when you're doing this, you're reprogramming, right? You're reprogramming for speaking life, because gratitude is good. So 1 or 2 things you're grateful for about God. 1 or 2 things that God is worthy of. And a lot of people have a hard time with this. If he is your Father, what would you want your children to say about you? Someone just asked me this. I don't know. I've never thought about what God is worthy of. Worthy of it all. It's like, if your child said to you, Daddy, you're worthy of it all, would that feel special? No, it wouldn't. It's like, it's nice when it's specific, right? And one of the things I often go to is, hey, Father, you're worthy of deeper connection with your children. You're worthy of being known as a father versus God. Because I long for that, right? I long for that as a father, that my children would want to be close to me as a father and not see me as just some ruler that rules over our home, that there is some love and connection and affection there. And there is, because I'm purposeful with it. But again, I think about that when I'm doing worthies over the Father. What would I want to hear from my children? And so I speak that over him. And then same about myself. This is where people have a hard time too. It's like, I'm grateful for you, Carlos. Oh, you're supposed to say that? Well, it's a declaration of gratitude. And again, he did it in creation. So I believe it's powerful and beneficial to do it in real life. Very practical. But men, it's like, again, we're getting back to the emotional stuff, right? The gushy stuff. So then men are like, do I have to do this? It never fails. Never fails. And men are like, and I'm like, okay, go ahead. You can do it. Ready? I'm grateful for Carlos, for your hard work, for your effort. It's like you're complimenting yourself where you're going to get a big head. That's ego. I've heard it all. I've heard it all. I have. So it's just, okay, well, this is a very efficient way to create belief in yourself. And I can prove it scripturally that God wants us to think on these things that'll benefit us, right? The fruits of the Spirit are beneficial things. So then I am grateful for Carlos and the way that you lead, the way that you want to be an example. And then the worthies of yourself. We're supposed to be humble, right? So it feels counter against what God teaches, but it is what he teaches as well, to edify, to lift one another up, and to love ourselves. So, Carlos, you're worthy of your message, the recipe of Epic to get out to the world. You're worthy of seeing lives changed and transformed. You're worthy of greater health and health goals reached, financial goals reached. Thank you. I received it. I even say that about when I say it about myself. And then it would be others. Your wife, obviously, if she's here, right? Your friend, and being able to say it. Edward, I am grateful for you. Grateful for your hard work, your efforts, your ability to see things and the details and to get things done. I'm grateful for that you are teachable and coachable. You are willing to apply things in your life and see change and transformation. You're worthy of deeper, more loving, affectionate connections with your wife and your children. You're worthy of getting results in all areas of your life. I love and appreciate you, brother. And so that's an example of it. We can say it over each other. It's such a good thing. And I've done it in my businesses. I've worked with businessmen that do it in their businesses. I've had owners of businesses do it every day with their crew before they start. Just something they're grateful for. They go around the circle. What are you grateful for about the guy next to you? And it's quite effective to create unity and create connection and to start your day with something positive. And it's funny when I've done this with people that I've had many people just start crying because they've never had anybody say that over them.
Yeah.
This is amazing, the world we live in. And I'm sure along the way somebody did it, but they can't remember it or it's been so long. And so again, the gushy stuff, as men would call it, it matters. And it's, then the overflow takes place. But it should be an overflow from our home. It should be that my daughter and my son are being a vessel of love and life and speaking life over people because they were groomed and poured into their whole life. And if it didn't happen, it's okay. It's never too late. I know some of you men, I'm in that place now where, our daughter, she's talking about getting an apartment, even though she's like, I want to be independent. I want to have this baby and be, be an adult. And I'm like, okay, yeah. Can we do that in like a couple of years? we want Kayla around, But again, I understand that's part of the process. She's mature. She wants to be strong. And I want her to be that. So I encourage that. However, it is. So my point in saying that is it's interesting because it is now Chantel and I. It is more and more. It's just she and I, because Hazel has her stuff, her life, things that she's involved in or part of that she can't be with us every morning because she goes to different activities, or especially now that it's senior graduation time. So, and same with dinner. I agree. And I think it's interesting. I think Jews have it really well, are smart. They have Shabbat. That's a big deal for them that all the family comes one night a week.
Mm-hmm.
The kids, aunts, uncles, somebody gathered, they gather at somebody's home, or they bring the Shabbat in together. It's a powerful thing. And that's what I would say is, if you can, in the world we live in, the busy world we live in, if you can at least designate one evening a week to gather with your children, and your wife and family and friends, do it. It's beneficial. And again, we do our best to do it every Friday, but it's not perfect and we don't always do it. I would say probably these days it's been once a month. And then that's when, like we did that cookout last week, I invited you guys to. So randomly, it was spontaneous and random. But that was our Shabbat, bringing in the Shabbat and bringing it in with friends. We did the prayers. We and it is awesome to do those things and to declare Shabbat. So I would encourage you to at least do that, even if you are just a couple. Chantel and I, we meet in the mornings. Our time is 6:30, except for Thursdays when I'm here. And we make it on purpose a connection time of getting a word from the Father and then sharing it with each other and then doing GWs over each other. So your first swarm is your family. Are they willing followers? Or are they just the same? In just the same house. A man's home is first place Papa measures his faithfulness. Before you lead a team, a company, or a community, lead your table. What does your family move toward when you're in the room? Toward you or away? And men, it's up to you. Our children and our wives will respond over time. It's a chipping process. If you've never done this, it's a chipping process. They're going to think you're weird at first. They're going to take your temperature and be like, you all right? If you've never done this, but I'm telling you, I want to challenge you to move towards your family every time you enter the room. Go greet them and tell them you love them. Your kids, your wife, your grandkids, be the example. It's not too late. Let's make a difference. And let's not let pride get in the way, because love is good. So I just want to challenge all of you to do this. And it's just one little thing. I'm not even challenging with Epic 30 yet, because I know that's a lot. I'm just saying I love you, and go and hug them and greet them with I love you every time you come into a room or come home or leave them. If you're going to leave, maybe you took separate vehicles at church, go give them a hug and kiss, say I love you before you leave, or they're leaving, say I love you, see you at home. I want to really, really start with one little thing with your kids, your grandkids, and your wife. Heck, I even do it with friends. Right, Edward? After work, I give them a hug and I say, I love you. Appreciate you.
Mm-hmm.
So again, it's part of the process, I believe, in relationships that's healthy and beneficial. I think Jesus was here. He would do that. I truly believe that. He would hug every one of us and tell us he loved us. So why don't we do it? There we go. Sorry. Comments, questions?
It's good stuff. It's good stuff.
That may be a comment. Do y'all have, staff meetings with your group?
Our team at work, pretty much daily.
Yeah.
We do a little huddle before we go to work.
I mean, several people.
Several people.
Several people.
Mhm. Yeah.
Our office used to do that. We had we call it doctor's meetings, like a staff meeting once a week. And how we would start those is we call it the win of the week. And
Oh,
about
nice.
having, say something
Yep.
positive,
Mhm.
and go around, everybody have something that was
Yep.
special for that week. Something
Absolutely.
happened good, whether it's a patient result or, something in your personal life or whatever. But the win of the week was something that we used to try
Yeah,
to positive.
that's awesome.
Try to, at least, because sometimes, like you said, the world will turn into crap. That's what the
Yep.
brain feels.
Mm-hmm.
When you have to think about something good, kind of takes you away from that for a while.
It does.
Think about
So
that.
good.
I do have a positive impact.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Good.
All right, Dan, pray for us.
Yep. Prayers out.
Yeah. Heavenly Father, we thank you for your blessings and in this study and this training time to be more effective men, leaders in our homes, how we relate to our wives,
Yes.
how we basically do your will, what you designed and what you want, how you want us to be loving like you
Yes.
and merciful.
Yes.
Thank you for this day. Thank you for going before us and leading our way, guiding, directing our steps. Thank you for having mercy on us and those out in our paths, and that we just fulfill your will by presenting the gospel to
Yes.
us. In your name we pray.
Amen. Next week, week 6, dominion, image, responsibility. So your swarm is growing. Now Papa invites you into the fullest expression of who he made you to be, a son who leads, builds, and governs with love. Impact and influence on our community. So